Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rafifah Alya and my student ID number is 332-40014. And today I'll present my final term project for Introduction to Literature. And today I'll explain about parable. So, what is the definition of parable? Theoretical concept. A parable is a short narrative that illustrates a moral, religious, or philosophical lesson through simple characters and situations. Well, according to M.H. Abrahams in a Glossary of Literary Terms 2012, a parable is a brief narrative, often involving ordinary human characters, designed to convey a moral or spiritual lesson indirectly through metaphor or analogy. Similarly, C. Hugh Holman, in A Handbook to Literature 2006, states that a parable differs from a fable in that it deals with human beings and is intended to teach a moral truth, often of religious or ethical significance. So, from this definition, a parable is short and simple, uses symbolic meaning, teach a moral of ethical lesson. Second one, literally examples of parable. Example number one, the parable of the Good Samaritan, the Bible, Luke 10:25 until 37. This parable tells the story of a man who is robbed and left injured on the road. While a priest and a Levite ignore him, a Samaritan, someone considered an outsider, helps him. How it fits the concept of parable. So, the character represents moral choices rather than complex personalities. The story teaches the lesson of compassion and love beyond social boundaries. The message is indirect but clear. True goodness is shown through action, not status. Thus, this story perfectly represents a parable because it conveys a strong moral lesson using a simple narrative. Example number two, Animal Farm by George Orwell, 1945. Although Animal Farm is a novella, it functions as an extended parable. The animals represent social classes and political figures, reflecting the Russian Revolution. How it fits the concept of parable is the story used symbolic characters, animals, to represent human behavior. It also delivers a moral and political lesson about power, corruption, and betrayal. The simplicity of the narrative hides a deeper philosophical meaning. So, therefore, Animal Farm can be understood as a modern political parable. Right, let's move on to the second one, science fiction, or you could say it's sci-fi movie. So, what is the definition of science fiction? Well, science fiction, commonly known as sci-fi, is a genre that explores imaginative concepts based on science, technology, space, time travel, or futuristic societies. Well, according to Darko Suvin in Metamorphosis of Science Fiction, 1979, science fiction is a literary genre whose necessary and sufficient condition are the presence and interaction of estrangement and cognition. Meanwhile, Isaac Asimov defines science fiction as that branch of literature which deals with the reaction of human beings to change in science and technology. So, based from this theory, sci-fi imagines future or alternative realities, or is grounded in scientific or technological possibilities, and it also explores human ethical and social issues. And then here's some examples of sci-fi movies based on literary works. Example number one, Blade Runner 1982, based on The Android's Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. Well, the movie depicts a futuristic society where artificial humans called replicants are created. How it fits the sci-fi concept is it represents advanced technology and artificial intelligence. It raises philosophical questions about humanity and identity. The futuristic setting creates cognitive estrangement as described by Darko Suvin. Thus, Blade Runner clearly fits the sci-fi genre. Example number 2, The Hunger Games, 2012, based on the novel by Suzanne Collins. Well, the story is set in a dystopian future where children are forced to fight in televised games. And this fits the sci-fi concept. It actually portrays a future society shaped by technology and political control. It also critiques social inequality and authoritarian government. The futuristic setting allows reflection on real world issues. Therefore, The Hunger Games is a sci fi movie with strong social commentary. And then let's move on to part A, analysis of Shakespearean drama. The first one is Othello. 1. Extrinsic elements, social and historical context. In Shakespeare's time, racial prejudice was common. Black people were often seen as outsiders. Women were also expected to obey their husband. The social issues, racism, jealousy, manipulation, and male dominance. Author's idea is Shakespeare focus on how negative emotion, especially jealousy, can destroy a good person. And then 2. How extrinsic element shapes the story. Othello feels insecure because he is a Moor living in a white society. Iago uses society's racist fields to make Othello adopt Desdemona. Desdemona's position as a woman makes her powerless to defend herself. 3. Genre of the drama is tragedy. And 4. Evidence. Iago's manipulation leads to Othello's moral collapse. Othello kills Desdemona in Act 5, Scene 2, believing she is unfaithful. Othello realizes his mistake too late and commits suicide. It's also quoted in Then Must You Speak, or of one that loved not wisely but too well. This tragic ending caused by a fatal flaw, jealousy, confirms Othello as his tragedy. Number 1. King Lear. First, extrinsic elements, political context. The play reflects fear of weak leadership and unstable kingdoms. Social values. Parents expected obedience and respect from their children. The moral ideas is power can corrupt judgment and suffering reveals the truth. 2. How extrinsic element shapes the story. Lear gives away his freedom based on flattery, not honesty. This decision breaks family relationship and creates political chaos. Losing power leads Lear to madness and suffering. The play shows how personal mistakes affect society. 3. Type or genre of the drama is tragedy. 4. Evidence supporting the genre. Lear banishes Cordelia for her honesty, Act 1. His suffering and madness occur after losing power and dignity. Cordelia's death leads Lear to despair and death. It's quoted in Never, 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 never. The suffering of both innocent and guilty characters confirm the tragic nature of the play. 3. Macbeth. 1. Extrinsic elements. The historical context. The play reflects fear of killing a king, which was seen as a great sin. Belief system. People believed in witches, fate, and prophecy. Religious ideas. Crime leads to guilt and punishment. 2. How extrinsic element shapes the story. The witch's prophecy awakens Macbeth's ambition. Society feels regicide as unnatural, bringing chaos. Guilt causes Lady Macbeth to sleepwalk and Macbeth to become cruel. Ambition and belief in prophecy lead to destruction. 3. Type or genre of the drama is tragedy. 4. Evidence supporting the genre. Macbeth murders King Duncan in Act 2. and Lady Macbeth suffered guilt and sleepwalking. It quoted in "Out, damned spot, out, I say." Macbeth dies after realizing the witches deceived him. The protagonist's ambition, fatal flaw, leads to destruction, fulfilling tragic conventions. And the last one is Hamlet. 1. Extrinsic elements. Renaissance, humanism. The play reflects Renaissance ideas about reason, morality, and individual thought. Philosophical context, influenced by debates about life, death, revenge, and free will. Political environment, concern about corruption within royal courts shapes the drama. 2. Influence of extrinsic elements on the drama. Hamlet's philosophical nature causes hesitation. Moral uncertainty, delays revenge, and political corruption mirrors personal decay. 3. Type or genre of the drama is tragedy. And 4. Evidence supporting the genre. Hamlet struggles with the action it's quoted in "to be or not to be." That's the question. The play ends with multiple deaths: Hamlet, Claudius, Gertrude, and Laertes. Hamlet dies after achieving revenge, not happiness. The intellectual tragic hero and fatal ending confirm Hamlet as a tragedy. Part B, summary based on presentation by Aaron Fox. So, based on Aaron Fox's presentation, literary analysis can be approached using two main ways: intrinsic analysis and extrinsic analysis. Both methods help readers understand a literary works more deeply, but they focus on different aspects. While the main goal of intrinsic analysis is to understand how story is constructed clearly and how meaning is created through the text. For example, analyzing characters' motivation as story conflicts or the use of imagery belongs to intrinsic analysis. Different from intrinsic, the purpose of extrinsic analysis, which is to understand why a text was written in a certain way and how external condition could affect its themes and message. So, Aaron Fox also highlights that both approaches are equally important and often complement each other. Using both methods allow readers to gain a fuller understanding of literary work. Part C, explanation based on presentation by Mr. Bernard. Based on Mr. Bernard's presentation that to fully understand a literary work, the readers must connect the text itself with the context around it, which is why this process is called bridging the gap between text and context around it. He also emphasized that intrinsic and extrinsic approach should not be separated, but used together. Mr. Bernard's key ideas is that intrinsic and extrinsic approaches work best together. Intrinsic analysis explains what happened in the text, while extrinsic analysis explains what happens that way. So here's the combined example below. In Othello by William Shakespeare, intrinsic, Othello becomes jealous and kills Desdemona. Extrinsic, racial prejudice in Shakespeare's time makes Othello insecure. So by combining both approach, readers understand that Othello's tragedy is caused not only by personal weakness, but also social pressure. And using both approach creates a balanced and deeper interpretation of literature more clearly. And that is for my presentation. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.